it has to be properly designed, if that makes sense. So for example, if you wanted to stick your trench into 18 inches and you needed 2 foot of separation to get it off of whatever seasonal perch water that's out there, and you wanted to say, I can put a drain in to accommodate, I can bring that water down, there's actually a way that gets designed. So it's not 30 inches, wham, bam, done, like it used to be. There's actually free software. I've yet to put it on my computer, but there's free software that does the designing. It tells you how deep, it tells you how far away they're spaced. Typically, drains that are engineered or designed that way are deeper and they are closer. You probably, you see the guys tiling these agricultural fields, and they're putting that in to remove water, and they're doing it that way. So that'll be coming. So there's other things, but that's about as much as they've conveyed to us at this point. If you are interested in being a part, I know some of you have some strong interest in how these rules develop. I can get you a schedule of the dates and the subject matter that's going to be discussed so that you know what's going on, and you can chime in, you can make comments, whatever you'd like. When the rule drafts come out, we will get them out to you so you can read them and understand what we're up against. It doesn't sound like it's going to be drastically different from what we're doing right now. So fortunately, we're about where we need to be, I do believe. But if you're interested, see me, and I'll get you some information on how to keep in touch with what's going on at the state level. Regional planning. Some of you have had interest in the monies that have come out. Stark County received $160,000 for replacement of septic systems for low to moderate income families, up to 200% of poverty, which I think for a family of 4 is $40,000, $45,000 per year income is about what that means, 200% of poverty. We gave regional planning a list of 33 addresses that we were working with that had financial issues. To my knowledge, and anybody here that knows better, correct me, there hasn't been anybody qualified of all those properties. Now, there may be some I'm not aware of, but they call me and I update the list. Oh, so-and-so didn't qualify, so-and-so didn't qualify. I keep taking them off the list, and probably most of the list has had the people removed from it. And typically that is due to they're behind in their mortgage, or they stopped paying their mortgage payments, or they haven't kept up on their taxes, or they make too much. So that's typically what we hear. So these folks, if you don't pay your taxes, you don't get the money. So that's what's going on at that level. There'll probably be a point in time, if we can't spend $160,000, that's like, what, 11, 12 systems maybe, 13? If we can't spend it, they'll probably publish it so that more people know about it, and they might come coming out of the woodwork. Remember when the last set of funds that were out, right as it was ending and someone wrote an article about it, I got calls, hey, that money's still out there. So we'll see what happens with that. But right now, nobody's getting it. I wanted to put this up, state route discharging permits. I want to make sure we're clear on this. Frankly, in the past, I don't know how strongly we dealt with this. This is where if we discharge to a state right-of-way, we have to have a permit through ODOT to do it. And what happened in the past is we used to be real diligent about sending the paperwork to ODOT and never heard anything from them. So what are you doing, round filing this thing? I mean, you don't call us back, you don't tell us anything. So there was a point in time, I think, after that, we became lax on it and said, well, we're not. They don't tell us, they must not even care. Well, I recently had a conversation with their people, and I have I believe, a good contact individual to get that stuff to, and we want to do it right. So we do need to do that. So what that boils down to as an installer is not only will we have to wait on the NPDES permit when we're discharging, I got to wait on ODOT to make sure that they're okay with it. If we're going into their right-of-way and into their storm sewer. So we'll see how that goes, but now that I have a contact individual, I can get it to him directly and try to keep things moving along with that. But we do have to do it. So if you have a state route you're discharging onto, keep that in the back of your mind, because that will have to take place. Laura comes up with these things, I don't.
Keep them awake.
She prepared this slideshow. I had a lot of meetings coming up, and I just couldn't get to it, but she prepared this, obviously. Septic T. We had heard some word. I don't know if we actually saw some of this. There really, to my knowledge, shouldn't be any reason, unless there's some rare circumstances I know, so I won't say never, that we should be putting a 90 with an extension on it and drilling a hole in the top if we're putting a T on. Is there a time, other than maybe poor access, that we need to be doing that? Probably not. So if you have currently engaged in the practice of shoving 90s in tanks and sticking an extension and getting your drill bit and putting the vent on the top, that's not going to fly. So let's not do that. And basically by code, the reason that doesn't fly is because it reads that the top of the T has to be 6 inches above water level. Well, a 90 isn't going to be 6 inches above water level. I mean, if you figure right there at flow level, it's not 6 inches above the water level. And of course, you just have that small opening for the air to exchange back and forth. So let's be careful with the septic tank T's if you're replacing those. I want to make you aware, just so you can see what this looks like, the online CEUs that are available to you. If you choose not to come here, like I warned you, it's extremely boring. Not only that, you got to take a little quiz as you go, so we make sure that you're watching it. We'd hate for anybody to have an advantage and just turn it on and walk away. But anyway, we have a YouTube channel, and I seem to be the star of that channel, since I talk so much. But anyway, on here are all the videos that we've done this past year. They're only in 15-minute segments just because that's as large as they let you put on. So you can watch part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, and you get the whole session. And then there's papers over there on the side that you can access and have a look at that. Also, I want to show you one other thing. You can actually get to it from our website, which is probably the easiest way to do it. This will work. You go under programs here on the left, and yeah, I'll give it environmental, and then sewage treatment systems.
Why is that do that?
Anyway, on this page, we've actually increased the amount. I want to show you a couple things on here that now that I brought it up. A lot of the same old information is there. Your bonding information there is, if you need it, it's available on the web, or you can refer your insurance agent to that if they need it. But here is the section we've added, sewage treatment system education. And here is where those same sheets that are over there on the tables that you can take with you, they're here. So you can pull it up as a PDF, you can print it out, so you can write the answers to the little quiz on there. And at the same time, it'll have the link. So you just click, instead of typing all that mess in for the web address, you just click the link and it'll take you there. So that may be the easiest way to do it. You see here we have July, October's up here, and then we're recording today, so we'll post December as soon as we can get it all. You got to stand on your head and do a bunch of flips to make it get on YouTube, but it takes us a little time, but it will be on there as soon as we can get it there. I also want to point out, because you can point your homeowners to this website, Debbie Moore has done a tremendous job preparing some of our educational materials. They're very, very good, I believe. They're short, but they got enough information there that you can really get an understanding of the septic system. That's here. So if you have a homeowner that's asking you questions and you can't get it, you can't convey it all to them, say, hey, on the website, there's a link to that. There's some good, in fact, I'll show you one of it, hopefully.
Pull up the pressure one.
They come up as PDFs, and there's 7 pages here, but there's pictures that show you how things work. Aerators, you can't really see that well. anyway, their basic functions, how to prevent damage, how to maintain it, how long, how often to service it, those types of things. That's all available on our website now, so you can send homeowners here if they have some questions. You don't want to, a lot of times what I do is when people are asking me that on the phone, I say, hey, try our website. That way I don't have to go through 20 minutes of explanation.
Or buyers.
Yeah.
Yes, we are also going to, and we haven't fully decided how to do this yet, but we're going to try to get this information out to buyers because, a lot of these folks are moving from the city to the country, and they've never had a septic system, don't know the first thing about it. I'm not sure if we set the record the other day, but we had somebody that had been 30 years since it's been pumped, and the pumper had to scrape the sides, and it was awful. But we need to get these people educated, so we're going to try to get this information out to our buyers as well soon. Also at the bottom of the page, if you're really into this stuff, there's a lot of good links here that you can watch. This one here was a video put on by KSU. They did a pretty good job, just overview of septic systems and the nature of the concerns here in Stark County. So that's available. All right. All right. The last thing I'll go over before I turn it over to Debbie is I have a few drawings on the board. We'll turn the lights on. I don't know about you, but I like to learn from my mistakes. Anytime something weird happens, I like to go out there and figure out what happened and we can prevent it in the future. The first one that I want to talk to you about and just relay to you some information that you can tuck away and maybe use in the future. This property is in Marlborough Township on Preston Road. That's just north of State Street, by the gun range there. Near your house. Yeah. So anyhow, at this property, we had a system go in April, something like that, maybe a little later, and probably within 4 months, they were calling and saying, hey, man, my system's full of water. Here we go again. The first thing we think about, and it's fortunate, I've said this before, but on these new systems that require the event counter, it's the first thing you check. How much water are they using? And that was the first thing we thought was wrong. They were using too much water. Well, we checked it and did the calculations, and sure enough, they were right on. They were not using too much water. So we began to look at this site and try to, all these lines, all 4 of these lines were full of water. And there was an aerator, a multi-zone valve, and 4 lines. There was a bit of a separation from lines 2 and 3 there. So we try to figure out what's going on. We dug various, boreholes just to kind of get down on the system and see what's going on, what the soil. The first thing we noticed when we took an auger down through the system is this is the native soil layer here in the ground. They had placed, probably from here up, a significant amount of fill. First thing we noticed was this house was jacked up a little bit. Of course, you want to make it look nice, right? You don't want it just sticking out of the ground. So they took soil and filled it, and we automatically, to get to these lines, they're supposed to have 8 or so inches of cover. They had 24 inches of cover immediately. It was the first thing we noticed. And some of the cover, I'm not sure where it came from. I'm not going to say it was the best stuff. So not only was it deep, the curtain drain, or I should say the interceptor drain, just on the 2 sides here, it was significantly deep. So we weren't sure that was what caused the failure. Depth, it's not good, but should it cause all this water? I don't know that. I don't think that. So what we did was, we're just scratching our heads and said, well, let's try something. We dug down on this line here, and we put dye into that line. We dug down and squirts of dye into that hole, covered it up. Well, shortly, 2 or so days later, it just poured. So I said, well, let's go out there and check that thing out. I'm thinking, we're not going to see anything. It was just a stab in the dark, right? Put the dye here, it's blowing out here. Yeah, oops. So there is a